Book of Heaven, Volume 14. 9th to the 19th of June 1922. Page 55 to 62. June 9, 1922. Jesus wants to rest in the soul. Everything in him is merciful love. As I was in my usual state, my always lovable Jesus would come very often, and sometimes he would lean his head upon mine, telling me, "My daughter, I need rest." The uncreated intelligence wants to rest in the created intelligence. But in order to find true rest, I should find in your intelligence all the glory and the contentment which all other intelligences should give me. Therefore my will wants to expand your capacity to be able to find this rest. No, I am not content if my will does not place in you all that the others should give me. Then, he seemed to breathe over my intelligence, and it remained as though chained by many threads of light, for as many created minds as came out of the hands of our Creator. And each thread of light said, "Glory, gratitude, honor, to my God, thrice holy." And Jesus said, "Ah, yes, now I can rest. I find the return of the intelligence of creation. The created mind is fused with the uncreated mind." Afterwards, he leaned his head upon my heart, and it seemed that he could not find complete rest, so he placed his mouth over my heart, and breathed in it. At each breath my heart became larger. Then he added, "Daughter, I am determined to rest, therefore I want to breathe into your heart so much as to place in it all the love which all the rest of creation should give me. My rest cannot be perfect if I do not find the return of the love which came out from me. Therefore I want to find in this heart the love that all should give me. My volition will make this prodigy in you, and your heart will have a note for everyone, which will say to me, 'Love.'" Then, he leaned his head on my heart again, and rested. How beautiful it was to see Jesus resting! Then he disappeared and came back, and now he wanted to rest on my hands, now on my shoulder. It seemed that he wanted to see whether all of my person was fit to let him rest. Afterwards he added, "My beloved, how much love I feel for you. All the love which I should give to others, and which they refuse, I concentrate in you. In you I hear the echo of my creative word, 'Let us make man in our image and likeness,' and I see the fulfillment of it. Ah! Our will alone will make man return to his first origin. Our will cast all the divine impressions into the human will, and overwhelming one will within the other, it will carry him on its wings into the arms of his Creator, not ugly, as sin rendered him, but pure, beautiful and similar to his Creator. Therefore, I want you to receive all the impressions of my will into yours, so that heaven and earth may recognize nothing but divine will acting in you, by which they will feel as though overwhelmed, and all will receive the good of the divine work in the creature. Therefore, be ready in everything, and be faithful to me." After this he came back again, but all afflicted, and he told me, "I feel sad when they think that I am severe, and that I make more use of justice than of mercy. They are with me as if I were to strike them in each thing. Oh, how dishonored I feel by these ones! In fact, this leads them to remain at due distance from me, and one who is distant cannot receive all the fusion of my love. And while they are the ones who do not love me, they think that I am severe and almost a being that strikes fear, while by just taking a look at my life they can only notice that I did only one act of justice. When, in order to defend the house of my father, I took the ropes and snapped them to the right and to the left, to drive out the profanators. All the rest was only mercy, mercy my conception, my birth, my words, my works, my steps, the blood I shed, my pains. Everything in me was merciful love. Yet, they fear me, while they should fear themselves more than me. June 11, 1922. The natural life symbolizes the spiritual life. I was thinking to myself, how is it that also the spiritual life undergoes so many changes? While one is convinced that this will be his life, then, when he least expects it, he is flung somewhere else, dragging along who knows how many painful consequences which make the heart bleed. One can say that, because of the so many changes one undergoes, it is a continuous martyrdom. And my sweet Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, My daughter, indeed the spiritual life must be a continuous martyrdom, because it must be similar to the first and greatest martyr, myself. And if it were not so, it cannot not truly be called spiritual life, but larva and shadow of it. Then, it is necessary that it undergo various changes. This, in order to make it reach the proper stature, and to render it noble, beautiful and perfect. If the human nature itself, which is less important, undergoes who knows how many changes in order to reach the proper stature, much more so for the spiritual, which is more important than natural life, and superior to it. Even more, the natural life symbolizes the spiritual life. Observe a bit, how many changes does the natural life go through? It is conceived in the maternal womb, and there it remains for as long as 9 months in order to form the little body, and when it is formed, it is forced to come out. And if it wanted to remain inside, it would die, because it would lack the space to grow, and so it would suffocate, jeopardizing its life and that of the mother. Now, if this conception were formed outside of the maternal womb, who would provide the blood and the heat to form the little body? Moreover, since the members are extremely tender, the air itself would kill it. How much care is needed with the little newborn? Heat, cold, and even being pressed to the maternal bosom can be deadly for him, and therefore swaddling clothes, cradle, milk. If one wanted to give him some other food, the little one would not know how to chew it, and so his life would be put in danger. But then the time also comes when he becomes capable of taking food, the swaddling clothes are removed, and he learns to take a few steps. Do you see? We are still at his infancy, and he has already gone through 3 changes. Now, what would one say if this little one, seeing himself placed on the ground so as to take the first step, in fear of being snatched from the arms of his mamma, screamed, cried, and refused to have any of it? One would feel sorry for him, because in the arms of his mamma he would never become a man. Without motion he would not become strong nor developed. Now, let us come to the true spiritual life. It is conceived in my womb. My blood, my love and my breath form it. Then I feed it at my breast, I swaddle it with my graces. Then I continue by making it walk with my truths. However, my design is not to form a child to play with, but a copy fully similar to myself. And this is why changes occur, for nothing other than to let it reach a mature age and give it all those privileges and qualities which true spiritual life contains. Otherwise, it would remain like a baby in swaddling clothes who, instead of forming my honor and my glory, would form my sorrow and dishonor. But how many are those who remain only newborn, or at most swaddled? Very few are those who work together with me to become a copy of myself. June 15, 1922. The divine heartbeat is the little cell of the soul who lives in the divine will, and makes everything harmonizes within the creature. Continuing in my usual state, I was thinking about the holy will of God, and while I was fusing myself in it, my always lovable Jesus told me, "My daughter, my eternal will was the central point of my life, from the first act of my conception up to my last breath. It preceded me, it accompanied me, becoming the life of my act. And it followed me, enclosing my act in the eternal sphere of my will, from which it could find no way out. And since my eternal will was immense, there was not one point which it would not encircle, nor generation in which it would not dominate. Therefore, it was as though natural for it to form my acts, and to multiply them for all, as if they were for one alone. An individual can give only what he possesses, as much power as he may contain, he cannot give more than what he possesses. Now, my will possessed the immensity, the power of the multiplication of acts into as many as it wanted, the eternity in which it overwhelmed all things present to everyone, as in the beginning of all things, so until the end. This is why, from the first moment of my conception, the power of my will formed as many conceptions for as many creatures as would come to existence. It multiplied my words, thoughts, works and steps, and extended them from the first to the last man. The power of the eternal volition converted my blood, my pains, into immense seas of which all could avail themselves. If it wasn't for the prodigy of the supreme will, my very redemption would have been individual, circumscribed, and only for a few generations. Now, my will has not changed. What it was, it is, and will be. More so, since I myself came upon earth, and I came to tie once again the divine will to the human. And for the soul who does not escape from this tie and places herself at the mercy of the divine will, letting herself be preceded, accompanied and followed, enclosing her act in my volition, that which happened to me, happens to her. See, as you were fusing your thoughts, your words, your works, your reparations, your little love in my will, I extended them, I multiplied them, and they became antidote for each thought and for each work, reparation for each offense, and love for each love that is due to me. And if this does not happen, it is the human will's fault, which, not abandoning itself completely prey to the divine will, does not take everything, nor can it give itself to everyone. So it feels the sensations of what is human which make it unhappy, circumscribe it, impoverish it, and render it incomplete. This is the reason for all my interest that your will live in mine, and that you understand well what it means to live in it, as much as it is possible for a creature. Because if you do this, you will have obtained everything, and will give me everything. Having said this, he disappeared. But later he came back again, and made himself seen all wounded. Those wounds formed many little cells in which Jesus called the souls, to enclose them and keep them safe. I said to him, "My love, what about my little cell? Where is it, so that I may enclose myself in it, never to go out again?" And Jesus, "My daughter, for you there are no little cells in my body, because one who lives in my will cannot live in one compartment of mine, but must live in the heartbeat of my heart." The heartbeat is the center and the life of the human body. If the heartbeat ceases, life ceases. The heartbeat maintains the blood circulation, the heat, the breathing, and therefore the strength and the activity of the members. If the heartbeat is not regular, all the human faculties are in disorder. Even the intelligence loses liveliness, ingenuity, and the fullness of the intellectual light. In fact, in creating man, I placed a special sound in his heart, to which I bound the eternal harmony, in such a way that if the heartbeat is healthy, everything is harmony in the creature. Now, my will is like the heartbeat in the creature. If it palpitates, sanctity harmonizes, the virtues harmonize. She harmonizes between heaven and earth. Her harmony extends up to the sacrosanct Trinity. This is why for you there is my heartbeat that offers itself as a little cell in order to enclose you in it, and so that, palpitating with one single heartbeat, you may harmonize between heaven and earth, circulate in the past, in the present and in the future, and be present in everything, you circulating in me, and I in you. June 19, 1922. Every time the soul operates in the eternal will, she gives God the field to release new beatitudes and new contentments. Continuing in my usual state, I felt submerged in the supreme will of my sweet Jesus. It seemed to me that every little act of mine done in the divine will made new contentments come out from the divine majesty. And my lovable Jesus told me, "My daughter, I possess such contentments, happiness and beatitudes that I could give ever new joys and beatitudes in every instant." So, every time the soul operates in my will, she gives me the field to release new beatitudes and new contentments which I possess. And since my will is immense and invades everyone and everything, as they come out, they flow over the soul who is operating in my will, as the primary cause for which my beatitudes are being released, and then they circulate in everyone, both in heaven and on earth. Therefore, as many times as you operate in my will, so many more beatitudes and joys do you make me release, and I feel the contentment of sharing the joys I possess. My will wants to release what it possesses, but it keeps looking for one who would give it the occasion, one who is disposed to receive, one who prepares a little place in her soul in which to place these new contentments of mine. Now, by wanting to do my will, the soul opens the doors of my volition, and emptying herself of her own volition, she prepares a little place for me in which to place my goods. And as she enters into my will to operate, she gives me the occasion to release new beatitudes from myself. Therefore, I anxiously await that the soul come to operate in my eternal volition, in order to unleash a new joy from myself, and make myself known as the God who is never exhausted, and who always has something to give to one who does my will.